Welcome. I have been wearing this Tandorio Flieger Pilot's watch for the last month, so I could really find out how good or bad it was and give all of you an accurate and honest review. Here it goes. Our story starts in the wild and snowy Scottish Highlands. No, this isn't the set of traitors, this is just my everyday life. I need watches to be rugged and strong. So that's why it's good that I can wear this for a full month of hard work in harsh and not so harsh conditions. Now I'm on the beach in Barbados and I'm going to give you my full review. If you are a watch enthusiast, you'll almost certainly recognize this style of watch as the German Flieger. If not, let me very briefly explain. The Flieger is a pilot's watch from the 1930s and 40s. The Luftwaffe, in their typically German organization, didn't let their pilots take their watches home. The pilots had to be given their watch at the beginning of each mission and then it was taken off of them at the end. So these watches didn't belong to them. But in also typical German way, they had to meet very high standards for the time. They were required to have either a Type A or a Type B face. This one has a Type B face, but we'll talk about that in a second. They had to be a very accurate chronometer and they had to have a hackable movement. The reason for this was to keep accurate formations and navigation in the air. Timing had to be done to the nearest second. So that's why you'll notice that there are minutes around the outside rather than hours. The hackable movement was required because, of course, if you can't synchronize your watches to the second, there's pretty much no point synchronizing your watches at all. There are several brands that made genuine Flieger watches during the war, including the Swiss brand IWC, who in the good old Swiss style sold watches to both the British and the Germans. And another popular example still selling their watches today is the German brand Laco. The Laco watch looks almost identical to this one, with the very notable exception that it costs around $1,000 and the IWC costs around $5,000. But this watch in my hand is neither German nor Swiss. This watch is Chinese. So I think that the best thing we can do is to look at the specifications and take it on its own merit and see how it compares to those other far more expensive watches. Well, the first thing to bear in mind is, of course, as we mentioned, the hackable movement. Now that's because the movement inside this watch is the Seiko NH35A, which I think is known throughout the watch world as being a truly excellent movement. It's not one of the most expensive, but it is very well respected at its price point. This particular case is solid bronze. It also comes in a solid stainless steel case. I've got no reason to think it isn't solid bronze because I looked it up and bronze is 14 cents an ounce and steel is 13 cents an ounce. So basically the same price. I'll just put this on so you can see what it looks like on the wrist. Now, I think this strap is really nice. I've had it on almost every day for a month, and of course it has signs of wear. That's the sort of nature of natural leather, but nothing that makes me think it's going to wear out anytime soon. The crystal is sapphire crystal, so it really shouldn't scratch, and it certainly hasn't scratched over the last month. Okay, so let's run through the dimensions. Case diameter 39 millimeters, case thickness 12.2 millimeters, band width at the lugs 20 millimeters, and band length 220 millimeters, so plenty long enough even for a pretty bulky wrist. The band does taper, so it does get narrower as it gets towards the clasp. This watch actually also has a screwed down crown and apparently has a water resistance depth of 20 bar. That is 200 meters. Now, obviously, I have literally no way of testing that, but I've been swimming with it and I've gone down about 200 centimeters and it's completely waterproof for that. And obviously, this isn't a diver's watch, so I think that is more than adequate. The indices and numbers are completely flat printed on, which is period correct to how a Flieger watch should be. This watch has a bronze finish. Now that was my personal choice because, to be honest, I've always wanted a bronze finish watch. To me, it has an almost steampunk kind of a feel to it, and it looks like it was straight off the skeleton of some German pilot. This is the second Tandorio watch that I have reviewed on this channel, and the first one I said blew my mind as to its quality and finish. Well, I can't deny that I'm pretty much having my mind blown by this one right now. Everything about this watch shouts quality. The weight, the feel, even the strap, which seems to always let down cheaper end watches, but this leather strap is absolutely lovely. When I first got this watch, I was a little bit surprised by just how bright the bronze finish was, and I was thinking to myself, maybe that's a bit too gaudy for me. It looked a little bit like rose gold, and I do not like rose gold, but I am exceedingly glad to say that the bronze has really patinaed and weathered absolutely beautifully, just how I hoped it would. It looks old, it looks antique, but without looking in any way worn out. So very much like myself, really. So this leaves us with just one important question. Would I personally recommend that you buy this watch? Well, for the price point of, I'm looking at the website now, and right now it is $139. I genuinely don't think you could buy a better watch for that price. When Tandorio first approached me, they said I could say anything I wanted because they had complete faith that I would like their watches on their own merit. And I must admit, they were right. And I'm aware that you can buy this watch even cheaper on things like AliExpress, but do bear in mind that you lose out on all the guarantees and after sales service if you choose to do so. So personally, I'd rather pay a little bit more and get it directly from the manufacturer, and I will put the link in the notes of this video. Now just bear in mind, I am not on commission. I do not get a single penny for you buying from that link. I'm merely doing it because I actually like the watch. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you'd like to watch more of my watch reviews, as I said watch a lot, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and to the watch review playlist, where you can also see the review of this Tandorio watch. Thanks very much. I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.